Envy to kind of supplement that as well.
Yeah, we see no more Guinevere, no more Ruby. The tank pool is definitely dwindling a little bit. I mean, we still have the Kufra in play. I'm not sure if you want to revisit Edith, so maybe Kufra and Arlott could be the best option. Xeno given a second chance to play the Paquito.
Jungle Paquito.
No, Jungle Paquito. Wait,
Yeah.
you're correct. Subway Paquito.
Interesting. This might be a really difficult. Yes, the early game is much better for Paquito nowadays, but he eventually falls off pretty hard. So again, it's pretty dependent for MV to have a dominating gold lane in this type of situation now. I mean, they've gotten rid of that. They've gotten rid of so many picks already. Harith is still generally available here, and now they have a much better distribution of overall damage. Let's see how RSG responds.
If you pick Harry for Monster Vicious, you essentially only have one true front line, which is the Minotaur, right?
Yeah.
CC is more like a disruption. If this was like CC on release, I would just say that maybe it's a CC jungle. But, oh, here we go. Storm, the Arlott, and the Kaja. So this is an Arlott exchange. And across the
hold on.
range, okay. All right.
What? Wait.
Hey, man.
What?
Tier 2 technology.
CC gold lane.
This is the CC, no, the tier 2 technology. So it's a Granger jungle. Yo, Gideon.
What?
I mean, I'm happy with a Granger jungle. Like that sounds like
What
a fun
year is
time.
it?
Hey, going back to the hyper marksman. That's what I'm talking about.
Dude, what is this comp
What
right
is
now?
going on?
What is this comp right now? I would have been happy with the Roger, but I think that RSG has replied very, very well in this sense. Yes, they have the Valentina to make sure that team fights is going to fall in their favor by stealing the Minoan Fury. But keep in mind, if you have a hard engage and it's a really good engage, Kaja, go for the Divine Judgment to kick things off, right? And they even have the final slash as a double insurance policy.
Yeah, but that's going to be very interesting here. Kaja as well is a hero that hasn't seen a lot of play recently, but Storm also very confident with it. The Divine Judgment could catch members of Monster Vicious off guard, but now that they are fielding the double fighter side lane marksman jungle combination that we have not seen in years, I'm very curious and excited about what kind of game is in store for us.
That's why we're the most entertaining region to watch. We got all these picks. I mean, Roger, completely understand. Mincetat, all right, we're doing something different. But Granger is like, back to what, years ago, I believe.
I don't know. What are we, Latam right now? It's
I don't
crazy,
know.
dude.
Whoa,
It's crazy.
If Granger jungle wins before Arlott does,
I'm telling you, if Granger jungle wins, that means Vexana also gets her first win.
Hey, that's
true, yes.
true. Oh, that's the trade-off now. But look at the way that this game is going to be played, right? This early game especially. Because prior to these level 4s, it's going to be interesting to see how this actually plays out. Ruff, especially on this CC, up against Loliel's. Like, Loliel's, yeah, he can get a couple of good trades, but Ruff is going to generally have a slight advantage here every single time.
yeah, at the very least, until O'Leal gets like a second or third item, Ruff is going to be ahead of him every time. One of the few EXP laners that can match up in terms of consistent damage and durability. Meanwhile, we could see that things are going to be slowing down here overall. The worry for RSG MY this game is that they are now playing the composition that's quite reliant on the late game scaling of Loliel and Izanami, while Monster Vicious, they want to play for early.
Right, Loliel, there's no getting out from this. Only gotta purify. No first blood, you kidding me? Never mind, Subway. Of course with the snipe.
That's what we want to see. Gotta trust in the Granger, right? If you don't go down to the burn from the wait, hold on, Zeno playing a dangerous game, but Kaiser spots Outface walking into the lane by doing so.
Turtle now going to be contested. Venogo, the only person here, but Subway will join very, very soon. Comparatively, Nova going to have a lot more setup potential, but if it's a 1v1, 2v2 situation, Divine Judgment could make a difference if they can find Subway.
Oh! Didn't even need to try. You know what? It's like, well, I blew my ultimate, and now I'm left out to dry. Face trying to save him, and actually does. Kaiser tried to flicker, but can't even get in range for the ult, and Well, a bit of a blunder from RSG.
Ah, nicely done. I mean, Nova forces out Vinogo's retribution pretty early on. As soon as he saw that jump, Vinogo was like, I got a retry here, right? I don't have much of a choice. If I don't, it's pretty much gone, so I have to risk the 50-50. Just well-timed by MV.
This does seem to be a composition that Monster Vicious is much more comfortable with playing. Knowing the tier 2 scene, a lot more builds are viable. And looks like this one right now working pretty well for Monster Vicious in that early game. They will need to be careful once the mid game comes about and the front line for RSG becomes a little tankier. But if they can keep the snowball going, it's going to be hard for RSG to catch up.
Yeah, Snowball Granger nonetheless. And now Storm forced back. Vinogo shows up. Izanami to supplement the damage. Fakes has to flicker away, but he's probably going to die. As the final slash coming out as well. Actually, it's the Appraisal's Wrath of Vinogo. Fakes goes down, Monster Vicious on the retreat.
Yeah, it's too difficult. Once you've lost formation here and Fakes having to flicker in an awkward spot, everybody's just going to pounce on you, and that's exactly what we saw from the side of RSG. As long as Vinogo is able to maintain that front line, it's going to be a good time. Lolios, on the other hand, not having the most fun time against this CC. You know, it's a little awkward to fight against because you are so short range. You're always going to be within the range of the yo-yos. There's just not much you can really do about that until you have your items.
It's a very smart play coming out from Monster Vicious here, and now that I've seen it for myself, I wouldn't be surprised if other teams were to decide to try it out for themselves later on in the regular season, but that will also depend on the success of it in this game. As of right now, 10 seconds until the turtle comes up, and that's going to be a very important timing because now RSG MY have all their utility ready for an actual team fight.
This is where it might just give us the first glimpse of who is going to be in the lead. Nova Escobar the target. But Fakes just saves him. Eternal Guardian has to be used though in that situation.
Okay, let's see whether or not this turtle is going to fall into the hands of MV, right? Because the last time this happened, it was just, you know, Vinogo being forced to use his retreat just slightly earlier than he needed to be. But now that Fakes doesn't actually have the Eternal Guardian, this is a significant disadvantage in a full 5v5.
Yeah, Nova Escobar just walking up first, posturing, threatening a potential steal. Subway in position already.
This is a 4v5 situation. Kaiser is here. Xeno
Oh, just Vinogo quicker on the trigger finger, but the AoE damage from Monster Vicious proving to be a threat. Nova Escobar first to go down, and Fakes is going to get dragged back by Storm, and that's 2 for RSG.
Dang, Kaiser nearly trolled there for a second, but Subway going to get chased down. Retribution has been used to slow down Vinogo so he can't keep up with it, but man, that was close. Kaiser nearly throwing it.
The extra healing from that last Vengeance was just enough to keep him alive against that Death Sonata here. Ruff starting to reach the point where it's actually quite difficult for him to trade against Lolil, and now Vinogo is here to finish things off potentially.
Nova Escobar is going to be that motivational raw to keep him topped up just enough to prevent a potential dive.
Take their time now. Back to square one here. But look, Veno, he is not going to leave that lane anytime soon, focusing purely on getting this push, knowing that Kaiser is willing to sacrifice for the team.
I do feel like in game 1, Xeno did end up making a mistake when he left his lane to try and get a backline gank up top, and then resulted in losing his team a pretty notable team fight. So looks like he's going to be focusing more on macro this game, but still, ooh.
Wow.
Nice flicker from Fakers.
Yeah, he got nervous. He got nervous that Storm might have actually gone for the Divine Judgment on him. But now, back to the stalemates, back to just hovering around no man's land for as much as they can.
Subway trying to take some space. Izanami actually don't have to be worried about too much. Monster Vicious trying to get some push going, but bottom lane handled by Kaiser. Top side, CC not the best hero in terms of pushing. Monster Vicious posturing towards this top side of the map.
Oh. Playing it slow. Looks like they're going to focus on getting this top tier 1. Lolil actually dashing forward.
Eternal Guardian even used as well. Storm though, don't think he can continue this pursuit. Vinogo gets the energy eruption. Nova Escobar forced back, terrified. The stolen Eternal Guardian dropped by Izanami. And this is not a good place for Ruff. He's so far forward, had to pop the Vengeance and Subway with the long range snipe to get rid of Storm.
Man, I'm surprised that Ruff actually survives there. Couldn't sneak in another auto attack, couldn't sneak in another ability, and Storm ends up dying, still holding on to his Divine Judgment. But now it's going to be a quick rush from the side of RSG.
Subway has arrived, and he does have the 2-level advantage, but in terms of numbers, he doesn't have it. Kaiser just flicker Vengeance, okay, no follow-up, didn't need to. And Zeno is going to take that bot tier 2.
We do see this as the reason why tank junglers are so prevalent nowadays. If a single member of the opposite team is able to zone you out from the objective, it's usually not ideal. But Monster Fish is still in a very comfortable position, and a lot of the fights they've taken have been at a disadvantage since Xeno has been focusing on pushing down that tier 2, which he did successfully take earlier now. We do see a lane swap here from RSG, allowing Lolil some space to maybe farm now that their bottom tier 2 is gone.
Subway just lost his purple, had to use the ultimate to back off from Storm as well. Bringing Nova Escobar to the mid lane, the Retribution use, and unfortunately they get the pull. Zeno again, just found out by RSG.
Positioning there. Zeno again getting caught out the moment he decides to leave his lane. RSG definitely putting a fear in him to not leave his house.
I mean, for as long as he can, I think it's totally fine. Ruff, on the other hand, I don't know how long this is going to start working for, right? Like, how does he really scale into the rest of his game? I mean, yes, they're going to have a lot of ways to actually deal with that front line, especially with Subway, but eventually even he's going to start falling off.
Lolil being given a lot of space. He'll be able to get his own tier 2 now, being finished off by the minion wave, which means that all the effort Xeno has been putting into that bottom lane has just been rendered nil by a very effective catch by Storm in the mid lane.
Speaking of that, they are setting up shop in this brush again. Zeno finally going to the top side, which I feel like should have been done quite a while ago. Would have prevented his death earlier on, but you look at the net worth of both teams, it's dead even.
Pretty low kill count game as well, 4-2. I would have expected them to fight more often than not, but it feels like, you know, the teachings from Coach Haru on MV, you gotta fight with some kind of purpose, some way to kind of convert that advantage into something more tangible rather than just gold from kills.
But I do wonder if advice like that maybe... Oh, hold on.
Okay, another pull, Nova Escobar. Again as a backup, Storm this time is punting Zeno. Finishes his Loliao with the flicker, and that is what you want to see from Monster Vicious.
Very nice response there. Now understanding that they gotta keep an eye out for that Divine Judgment. And being able to so quickly respond there, Nova Escobar, this is much more akin to the usual player we expect there. Getting 2 kills and now a free Lord means that Monster Vicious will regain control over this game.
And now, more importantly, a successful way to force a lead. If this tier 1 falls, yep, now they're in so much trouble. Oh!
Ooh, rough. Might have overstepped. No final slash. The RCNY not going to commit to it. And I mean, it's good enough. Monster Vicious finally getting a bit of a lead for themselves. It's 2.3k. And that looking to balloon it very, very soon as we check out the hand cam for Subway jungler for Monster Vicious, brought to you by our official gaming phone, ROG Phone 8.
It's very interesting to see this side of Subway as well, since we're very used to him playing these tanky junglers. We've seen him try assassins in the past to not the best track record, but a marksman jungle, that's a new one here. 3-0-1, very strong debut for Granger in MPL Season 13.
Might just get his first win before Arlet at this point.
Oh boy.
The Lord will be taken care of. I mean, there is a carry on the other side after all, so Monster Vicious not able to crack any inhibitors. That's good news number 1. Good news number 2, RGMY should be able to defend this mid-tier 2. As Izanami will steal the Eternal Guardian from Fix again. Monster Vicious will try to push though. In fact, might even attempt to get it. In fact, they will. RCMY losing their last outer tier defense.
I do wonder if the choice to steal Eternal Guard instead of something like Minwen Fury is the right choice here, because I'm not too sure how much that really contributes in the grand scheme of things. Looking at the item builds overall, Lil is going for Trinity. He did start with Thunderbelt, so at the very least the carry is a little bit on the tankier side. But the Sea Halberd coming out from Ruff gonna make that quite difficult for him.
I mean, I was thinking whether or not he wanted to consider building into Dominance Ice instead of going for something like the Sea Halberd in these types of situations. But, I mean, he's already got the Vengeance, I suppose, so you might as well apply and get the extra damage. Actually, having the extra attack speed might actually keep you alive a little bit longer or finish off those kills. But at the end of it all, right, majority of the gold is coming from both Zeno as well as well as Subway on this Granger. The question is, RSGMY at this point in time with no out-of-tier turrets to really work with and only with these inhibitors, right? They probably just want to drag out this game, which is why you're seeing this position of MV just freezing as many of these lanes as possible to try and get some information on whether RSGMY is going to walk out. And if they do, they might actually forcefully start a fight.
And also to minimize as much resources as possible for RSGMY, right? Like if they can't enter the lane, they're getting less. And that actually helps Monster Vicious not only get control of the map, but also allow them to set up shop in the jungle if they need to, kind of get a lot more resources into their own pockets. And like how Nova Escobar is constantly walking together with Ruff. If they see RSGMY, at least there's someone there to respond.
Yeah, RSG's movements across the map right now are very risky because Zeno is still going for full damage Paquito, but now without the Nether Realm to protect them, the backline for RSG is much more vulnerable, especially when Subway is also going full DPS. Both just finished their Blade of Despairs a moment ago. So the DPS potential from Monster Vicious is massive, and RSGMY needs a very good pickoff if they want any hope of winning these teamfights.
No, Kaiser kind of taste the rainbow from Ruff. Did force the ultimate out of the CC, but brings Kaiser down 60% HP. Lord gets resetted as RSGMY takes that opportunity to break that mid-tier 1.
Whether or not they're going to get is a different story, though. RSG now have full position over this Lord. I'm not seeing a split push being done by Zeno just yet. He wants to be nearby enough to actually commit to this fight, but I don't know. It's 15 to 14. I would have expected MV to try and get something done here, but they're nervous. And so far, they haven't spotted out where this Kaja is going to be just yet. They see him out mid. They see that Lolios is going to take a tier 2 for free if MV does nothing.
Nova Escobar, here we go. Flicker, Izanami dashes away. They still want to chase. The Flicker terrifies enough to get rid of Izanami. Final slash from Kaiser from the back. But RSGMY, can they keep up? Ruff, isolated, finished off by Kaiser. The 1-for-1 so far. Monster Vicious still keeping that health bar. And now Divine Judgment is actually still available on Storm.
Yeah, they weren't able to quite use it that last fight, but trading 1-for-1 right now for RSGMY is pretty valuable. It's a bit hard to determine what the exact trade... Oh, hold on!
Yep, and that's a Flicker Divine Judgment. Zeno is going to go for his own Flicker, but no cooldowns. Can't get away. And that could just be enough for RSGMY to step on forward to contest this Lord. Kaiser will do that, knocked out by the Lord.
Oh!
And the damage just enough, the Lord! Taking the side of Monster Vicious, and now Subway just needs to press Retribution, and his Fakers to secure the objective. Monster Vicious getting away.
Nicely done coming out from MV here. I was questioning whether or not Zeno really needed to actually utilize that Flicker, but noticing the rest of MV actually coordinating well to rush down this Lord, having Subway a level ahead of a no-go, they've taken full advantage of the situation, right? Zeno can die 100 more times just like that as long as they secure that Luminous Lord.
A very good eye for opportunity there from Monster Vicious, understanding that, hey, Storm and Lolil are not here. There's no way RSG can actually contest. Let's blitz the Lord here. You're going to be able to use it to start pushing down the top lane. Subway 4-0-1. Full build on the Granger. He is scary.
Now Subway is going to unleash the Death Sonata first. Chip away the health bars of RSGMY. RSGMY trying to hold this Lord at their gates. Kaiser with the final slash to bring Ruff back down underneath the inhibitor, but it's not enough. Nova Escobar with them in no inferior to keep RSGMY away, but at the end of the day, they defended that top inhibitor.
What a game we're having right here as Monster Vicious flipping everything on its head despite a strong performance from RSGMY that made it seem like they clearly outclassed this new team to the MPL stage. Monster Vicious says, nope, we still got some pocket strats down there and we are ready to show them to you. This is an incredible performance right now. In a very unexpected way, RSGMY, while they do still have some late game scaling here, their team fight definitely does not quite match up to what Monster Vicious has. So the approach to how they get kills and extend their influence across the map needs to be very meticulous.
I don't know. It's a low kill count game. We're pushing in towards the 17th minute as well. I feel like Monster Vicious is going to start hitting a brick wall sooner rather than later against RSGMY, who are eventually getting their level 15s pretty soon as well. So with no inhibitors missing, it really comes down to how do you actually play this Lord dance. And let's look at the in-game equipment to see whether or not there's anything out of the ordinary. Looks like pretty standard builds all across the board. And it looks like, oh, we're also not seeing any, no winds of nature coming up from the carry at all. It's just brute force breastplate. I just want a kite.
Yeah, and also, and in place of that, she also has a thunder belt, right? So a bit more durability.
Yeah, this is a much more popular carry build nowadays, where you do build the hero a bit of a semi-tank because she already has inbuilt true a max HP damage in her passive. So if you're able to make sure that she's able to stay alive a little bit longer in team fights, it's actually very good for them. RGMY doing a good job of matching rotations across the map, but Lolly and Storm here, they're waiting for someone to walk into their trap.
Oh, good game sense here. Good game sense from the side of MV. If you're going to move, you got to move together.
No, Escobar is going to check this. And that means that no pull yet. I mean, Monster Vicious, they haven't been handling this top wave for quite a while, and that eventually allowed RGMY to get the tier 1. Now they're going to be on the Lord.
I mean, they're okay with that, right? It's better than sending Subway up and being like, hey, could you clear...
Oh, they're looking for Zeno!
Oh? Oh?
Did they find it? Yep, Zeno, he's going to go down. Unfortunately, Monster Vicious a bit late to respond. That's what, 40 plus seconds.
Yeah, caught with his pants down there. I mean, I don't know. Probably should have communicated with the rest of the team, and now RCMY, I mean, they can force this.
They definitely can. Look at Kaiser's position. This could be deadly. Monster Vicious, they do not know this. Izanami happy to put himself in the line of fire. Subway can't get the snipe. Ruff wants to follow up, but also cannot get that done. Nova Escobar pushed away by Lo Liao. And Ruff also not in a healthy state. They have to give this up.
Yep, they have to give this up. Nothing they can really do about this. They have to wait for the full 5v5 rather than just try to man fight it 4v5 and almost guaranteed to lose the game off of that one push.
Yep, an incredibly clean sequence of events coming out from RGMY here, slowly picking off the members of Monster Vicious one by one because they understand that they're not going to be able to win these big 5v5 team fights. Unfortunately, Zeno very much experiencing the reason why a lot of Paquito players do not go for that full damage build. You just end up melting so quickly, especially in situations like this. And Monster Vicious, without their full lineup, it does not offer enough of a protective shell for Figs and Subway to do damage, which is why they're forced to retreat and mount a defense here against this Lord.
Still crazy that the AI winner prediction brought to you by Nescafe still predicts 68% in favor of Monster Vicious despite the circumstances. But we might finally see the first inhibitor drop in this game. The bottom one for Monster Vicious. Lore still fairly healthy and needs immediate attention. And look at Storm's position. Flicker, Divine Judgment, ready at the helm. Eternal Guardian drop. Nova Escobar tries to cover a lot more ground. Zeno doing the same thing in the top side of the map.
What we're seeing here is akin to a very quick reversal. We are seeing this a lot more often in recent late game matches where a single mistake costs you the entirety of your control over the map. There's still another 100 seconds or so until the next Lord. So until then, Monster Vicious can play just a little bit more aggressively, but they gotta avoid being picked off here. This Divine Judgment now having a lot of utility to Monster Vicious, who wants to split up to try and macro the map.
I don't know. I just think it's a little obnoxious here, right? Like, RSGMY has been losing from early to mid off of small interactions against MV, and now that we're coming to this point with this overall even-scored game, the fact is, it's difficult to get in on their composition, because if they make that first move, Nova Escobar has an easy way to counter-engage, and the same can be said even for Zeno. If he has to give up his life, that's totally fine. He just needs to combo with Fakes.
It's the Twilight Armor for Venogo already. He's going for the Immortality next.
Thing is, I feel like if Zeno was on a slightly more defensive build, if he had things like Dominance Ice and Bloodlust Axe, it would be a lot easier for him to actually like push out and try and set up slow pushes. Instead, he's gonna be forced to wait with his team because he technically acts as another source of DPS, and they cannot afford to lose him before RSG fully commits to the fight.
Oh man, this is a painful 21-minute game. Both
is.
sides really don't want to lose, especially when they're so deep in there. But look at that damage.
Ooh, this is rough.
Both junglers still have perfect KD so far. I mean, talk about not wanting to die in this game and understanding their importance, right? The objectives are getting more and more important by every single passing minute. And Zeno, I feel like he was thinking about it, but realizes he can't one-shot Lo Liao. Not at this point.
what is the play right now for Monster Vicious? RSGMY, they can basically just keep doing what they're doing. Eventually, they're going to catch a straggler because the way that they've been pushing out the lanes has been very clean. But for Monster Vicious, is there any clear example of something they need to make happen in the next couple of minutes?
Well, I think number one, they need to find a pick on either Loliels or Izanami. I feel like Vinogo, Storm, and even Kaiser probably isn't going to find as much value without their big if they're trying to enable someone without damage, right? And all three of them at this point have pretty much are just giant meat shields with CC.
Look at where Zeno has been waiting in the top brush for a long time and now decides to reset. I thought at least he would try to get some map control and maybe get a flank, or at least push out the wave on the top side. He's not getting anything done. That means RSGMY, they might just get a free Lord. Get the pull onto the White Escobar Subway. Trying to support his support as much as he can. The White Escobar gets knocked out by the Stolen Eternal God. Immortality is going to pop. Flickers to safety with the heal. And that's crucial resources expended from the side of Monster Vicious.
But the same can be said for RSGMY. They actually committed quite a lot there, and the only thing they got was the immortality from the Minotaur here. So I actually think that Monster Vicious is in a pretty solid position here to contest this Lord, especially now that Divine Judgment is gone for a while.
Yes, it is, but the Lord Dance is going to be difficult to play, right? 2 flickers are already gone. Fakes, though, doesn't have his flicker. Same goes for Nova Escobar. And RSG, considering how they like to actually play these Lord Dances, just drag it out until you have your resources back, right? It wouldn't take too long. Yep, Storm already with the Divine Judgment ready to go.
Kaiser, he is fine standing in that position. Seems like it's towards RSGMY. Another pull this time. It's rough of all people. I mean, if you're only onto one person, it might not be enough. Vinogo, he's going to slam that giant blade down, and Nova Escobar removed from the fight.
And RSGMY not overstepping their boundaries as well. Kaiser does lose immortality here, drops low.
Subway couldn't finish him off, but is it enough to push RSGMY back? Storm. Let's pop the conceal just in case. It might just come down to a miraculous steal from Subway.
Minion wave up top, actually nearly taking the inhibitor here. I think Kaiser will be just in time to stop it, but that could have been a free tower for Monster Vicious.
Oh, again, this time the Terrify fakes. He was ready to respond. Subway with the Death Sonata. They get the pick onto Izanami. And Vinogo, immortality shattered as Zeno shows back up with the combo. And the patience paying off for Monster Vicious. Lord claimed. And RSGMY on the run. Vinogo, can you get out of this predicament? Fakes. Just accurate with the Terrify. Monster Vicious with 3.
Oh man, the idea was good, but Fake said no. He was not gonna let him get away with that. And now with 3 dead, this is only a potential closeout for the side of MB. These death timers are so very, very long, and the Lord is only going to spawn in 3 seconds.
RSGMY repeated the same engage a few too many times, and it was clear that Monster Vicious positioned in such a way so that the Terrify would be able to stop him right when he went in for that Divine Judgment. So now, RSGMY, we could be looking at another tie game here. Will Monster Vicious bring another game 3?
Well, beasts of different origins. Monster Vicious bringing some new technology to the big stage. And we are gifted with a game 3 in this series, gentlemen.
Yep, and Granger as well as Vexana have now a better win rate than having someone like an Arlen.
And
pretty
the
crazy.
CC as well. CC got her first
That's
win.
true.
Woo!
A lot of first times here, and it's good to see that they're making this competitive. They're bringing it to all 3 of these games. Congratulations to MB for taking the second one, but they still have a long journey ahead of them, especially since RSG is really matching them in their aggression as well as their team fights.
But Monster Vicious has proved to the world one thing here. Tier 2 metas can be brought to the